Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, who were teaming with Ricochet and Aleister Black. No,
Yeah.
against the against the Revival and the Berserker brothers.
Yep.
Their team lost. Did they get pinned?
Yeah, Ryder got pinned, I believe.
Ryder got pinned. And there was another champion, I believe, who lost on Raw, correct? Was it the women's tag champ?
The Iconics, maybe?
Yes, the Iconics lost to who the hell did they lose to?
I didn't watch it.
Good. Well, the Icon. Oh, I'm sorry. They lost to Naomi and Bailey. So, like, we rag on WWE heavily for the way they book their champions, and I think I don't have an issue with that, with the way we talk about them. So I can see what you're saying about Matt Taven. You want to. What if they go into a thing where he does all this, dirty, underhanded Ric Flair stuff to kind of keep the title, and that's the gimmick, and that's the angle? Would you hate that?
I mean, that's fine as a gimmick. I just don't listen. I was too young when Ric Flair was winning a lot of his world titles earlier in his career. I don't remember, during that era, him winning a title and then losing immediately on his first match on television. Within a week. I don't remember that happening. Now, if we want to compare, I mean, listen, we can compare it, however we want to compare it, right? If I don't know, I mean, it would be the equivalent of, I know WWE has a television show the night after their pay-per-views, right? So, but it would almost be the equivalent of like, if Seth Rollins or Kofi Kingston, who both won titles at WrestleMania, lost in their first match on television like the night after, when you're trying to present these guys as like the lead of each show for now, for them to get pinned like right away. I mean, I would hate that, and especially with Ring of Honor, because I feel like that title has more
prestige.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a more serious, I think, take to it right now. Just because of, Universal Championship has its own history, which we don't need to get into, which is kind of crappy. So, I just didn't like it. I don't like it. It's not good for a new champion, right? So that would be like if Razor Ramon won the Intercontinental title in the ladder match at WrestleMania 10 and then came out and got pinned by Rick Martel like a week later. Like, would everybody have been cool with that back in 1994?
Hold on. Whoa. The big difference is Rick Martel is human, bro. PCO is not human. It probably doesn't even count. It can't even be a sanctioned match in the state of Maryland. So, frankly, I don't know what you're so upset about. The guy's a monster. He's a zombie, okay? He probably wouldn't even pass the blood work. He'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not good. So that bothers me a lot. With them doing that with a guy who's a first time world champion. I mean, if you don't think highly enough of a guy and you're going to make him be a champion that loses all the time, a la Rey Mysterio or several other examples of guys from WWE that I can think of, then don't put the belt on him. If you don't want to get behind a guy, but they seem to have been pushing Taven for a while, right? He's been a major part of their weekly shows for a long time. He's got his own stable around him now where he's the leader. He's won several matches on pay-per-view, including, a Final Battle. He beat Dalton Castle. He went to a 60-minute draw with Jay Lethal at the 17th anniversary. So they've presented him as a guy, right? And then he goes and wins the title in the ladder match in MSG, and then loses in a tag match to PCO. It's too soon for me. That was too soon. So that I did not like. I'm sure he'll bounce back. I mean, I hope that they do that with him to kind of build him and give him a solid run with the title. But that part of it, I was not a fan of at all.
I can see where you're coming from because, like you said, the Ring of Honor title is the more prestigious title. I mean, I wouldn't put it up there with the IWGP heavyweight title in terms of like prestige and honor, but it's definitely above the WWE title and the WWE title and the Universal title and all that stuff. So I I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it because again, Taven to me isn't like that strong bad guy powerhouse of a heel. Like to me, if it was like Brock Lesnar getting pinned, it's a different story. But also on the first night, unless Taven, like you said, Taven's going to go on a tear and then meet PCO down the line, it's it's a different story. So either way, I mean, I see now people might want to compare it to like the G1 climax and the tournaments and stuff like that, where let's say Okada or whoever's the champion, let's just say the IC champion, let's say Naito's in the G1, and he loses 2 or 3 of his matches in the G1 that are non-title matches because it's a tournament, and then what that does is that sets up feuds down the line. To me, that's a little bit different because in the scope of a tournament, it's what's a G1 like 27 nights in a row where it's the most ridiculous tournament of all time. Like those matches don't count as much for the title as they do for the tournament, and they build up to your feuds later on in the year. And I think that's a genius way of doing it. And I don't think this is on that level. So I could see your frustration, Joe. I could see your plight. However, I think it's going to be really hard for the fans to take Taven seriously as a champion. He doesn't. You and I talked about this when Dalton Castle was the champion, and his title reign is very reminiscent to me of Dalton Castle. You have in Ring of Honor, you have to be a champion, you have to have the character, the strong character that brings people in the door, or you have to be one of the best wrestlers in the world. Jay Lethal, not the greatest promo guy, but when you watch Jay Lethal wrestle, there was a decent chance he was going to have the best match of the night. Dalton Castle, he had a great character and a great gimmick, but I think he connected to fans before that, and he was his connectivity to the fans was kind of on the downswing when they made him champion. And no disrespect to him, I do like his work, but you just look at the card and you see Dalton Castle. There's no shot he'll have the best match of the night. Is that fair to say?
I think at the time when he was healthy, I think he was capable of having good matches. I mean, his character is not necessarily one that is, portrayed as the guy who's like this top, level wrestler. I mean, they mention that, he has Greco-Roman style background and things like that, but his gimmick is more character driven, I guess, than it is, in-ring driven. So he seems like a good wrestler, but I'm sure the way that, his matches are laid out and portrayed, he's not always in a position to be able to have the best match on the card.
Okay, and then before that you had Adam Cole. Adam Cole, strong gimmick, great wrestler. Kyle O'Reilly, strong gimmick, great wrestler. Jay Briscoe, strong gimmick, great wrestler. Who am I forgetting? Elgin wasn't. He was actually terrible on the mic, but he delivered in his matches. So to me, I just don't know that Taven has. He doesn't compensate too much in one direction. He's serviceable to good in the ring, and his gimmick is good, but I just don't know he's going to quote unquote draw the house, Joe, as the kids say.
Well, I mean, that's a fair question. I mean, I don't know how many guys in Ring of Honor do we think are like true draws for the company right now that are still there, besides maybe Jay Lethal, and maybe the Briscoes as a tag team. Are there what other acts in the company would draw people in that are true Ring of Honor talents? Not New Japan or AAA or any of these other things.
Tight. That's a good question, Joe. Why don't you start that?
I'll start that, sure. So I don't know that there are any. You look at some of the other guys that Jay Lethal has been facing, over the last year or so, and I don't know, who those people are. I think he fought Will Ospreay at one show last year. Will Ospreay is not a Ring of Honor talent. He fought Cody at Final Battle. Now, I think Cody's an interesting comparison for a guy like Taven, right? So when you were going over the World Champions just a minute ago, and I think you started with Cole and O'Reilly and those guys. There's a period after that, which was after O'Reilly left, and then right, before Cole left, where the champions were Christopher Daniels and then Cody. for the better part of a year. I think it was 2017. So
I blocked that out, Joe.
What's that?
I blocked that out.
Yeah. So, but again, you look at guys like that. Now, Daniels obviously is a very good wrestler, but he was in his mid to late 40s, so you can make arguments against that. And Cody, I think, is an interesting comparison, right? Because people are very torn, on Cody as far as his in ring, right? Is he good in ring? Is he not good in ring? His matches can be hit or miss, but he has the character, the persona to get over. His promos are solid, but I think and good, but he's just an interesting character, right? So when you compare him to Taven now, I would say that Taven probably is better in ring than Cody. And as far as promo goes, you can make arguments either way. I think on that. I mean, I could see saying Cody's better on promos. I could see people saying Taven is better on promos. I think both guys garner a lot of heat when they're heels, and I think that's something that counts. So I personally, I felt for a while leading up to Final Battle and even into the early part of this year, I thought that Taven was going to be the guy that took the title from Lethal. Like I kind of, in my mind, I saw it heading in that direction. When they held off on that match at Final Battle and they pushed it into 2019, they did the 60-minute draw, which I was not expecting. I thought Taven might take the title there. That wasn't that bad. I feel like it was not as bad as maybe some people originally thought it had to be. But that's me. I'm the pro Taven side of this argument. So
it wasn't as bad, but when you could tell halfway through the match that it's going 60 minutes, I think that's kind of the issue. Like right at the 30-minute mark, you and I looked at each other. We're like, it's going to a draw. But yeah, you're right. Taven's got a weird style. Like he's like a. I don't want to be disrespectful at all. Doesn't have the most impressive physique. I mean, I think that's fair to say, right? Like you have there are guys with better physiques in Ring of Honor, but he's like a lucha inspired dude. So he does have some high flying. I mean, he almost died at Final Battle when he ate guardrail face first. We just watched that. But I think maybe some of his moveset isn't as appealing to people. It's very similar to Cody, right? Like the crossroads and the climax are almost like the same move, just reversed. He's got a similar style, a similar moveset. Not for nothing, I feel like Taven will probably do a hell of a job in NXT and WWE. He almost has that more WWE like style. But to your point earlier, what you said about people that could quote unquote draw the house, I just went through the list of talent in Ring of Honor. I would tell you right now, two people that I could think of that should be in the title picture sooner, like to capitalize on their popularity. One would be Jeff Cobb, who's already the TV champion, just wanted to from Will Ospreay, and the other one, Bandito. People love Bandito. He's got a great style. I think it could be something different. Maybe he could be a good foil for Taven down the line. I think the smart play would have been Marty as the champion, but Marty's a question mark with the AEW. They just have the TV deal all in two, double or nothing's going to be like next month, so I think that's why they didn't go that way. But, you're kind of talking me into Taven as champion a little bit, but I just don't know. You know what? I'll just give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to see his first. Who do you think his first defense is going to be against? Is it going to be against PCO?
Yeah, I think they announced that for the next tour. I forget which night it's going to be on, but he is supposed to wrestle PCO on the, I guess it's the War of the Worlds tour in May, I want to say. Okay. I think there are shows in like Buffalo, Toronto, and I don't remember exactly which one, but they announced it like either the day after or the night, right after the Masters of the Craft show ended. They basically said that, PCO had earned himself a title match. So he's going to be facing Taven on one of those tours. Now I have to expect that he's going to find a way to retain the title there. PCO has not been defeated yet since he's joined Ring of Honor in December. So
maybe that's sorry to cut you off. Maybe that's a way to get him a high profile win, like that high profile win against PCO, a win against a guy who hasn't been pinned yet. But the other thing is too, and I don't want to think I'm pooping on the Kingdom the entire time, but to me, like Vinny Marseglia and TK O'Ryan, I mean, I like Vinny's gimmick with the whole the horror movie thing. I'm a huge horror movie guy myself, but I feel like in the ring, like if you're going to compare Cody and the Bucks to the Kingdom, it's as a whole, it's no comparison, right? Because the Bucks are such a good supporting act